Hello, welcome to the Roy Rogers News Channel. Thank you so much for watching. Alright, today we're going to do a competitive analysis on Conkeldurr, and I would like to thank my proofreader, Roidedewok. Oh, that's getting video, by the way.
Hello. Oh, I heard you were talking about Conkeldurr, and I just couldn't let that happen. And to come here to make sure people know that it is a truly degenerate Pokemon. Poor Tyranitar doesn't deserve to get bullied this way.
Oh man, insulting insulting Conkeldurr. I'm sure that Conkeldurr users may not appreciate that. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the competitive analysis series for Conkeldurr. Roded, are you ready?
Oh, I suppose. Let's do it.
Awesome. Alright, let's go and pop up the computer right now. Alright, now let's go ahead and go into the specifications for Conkeldurr right now. So, Conkeldurr's type is Fighting, its tier is OU, and its resistances are Rock, Bug, and Dark, and its weaknesses are Flying and Psychic. Its abilities are either Guts, which ups the attack stat if the Pokemon has a status ailment, so it's multiplied by 1.5 times if the Pokemon is burned, paralyzed, or poisoned. And it also has the ability to have Sheer Force, and Sheer Force removes added effects to increase move damage. So if you're using Elemental Punches as an example, then this ability will activate. There is also a hidden ability for Conkeldurr, which is currently not implemented yet, Iron Fist, which increases any punching moves, so Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Fire Punch, but that's currently not implemented yet. The base stats are as follows. HP is 105, attack is 140, defense is 95, special attack is 55, special defense is 65, and speed is 45. Do not waste money on any special attacks for Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is going to hurt you in the fight if you say, hey, you know, I can probably run Hidden Power something. Nope, run all physical attacks on Conkeldurr. And Conkeldurr is good against Tyranitars. Isn't that right, Roded?
Sadly, yes. Conkeldurr's very existence more or less invalidates the idea of ever running Dragon Dance Tyranitar in PokeMMO, which makes me sad, but, you know.
That's more like it.
Other uses.
Oh boy, I can relish in that. Anyways, sorry. And the golden rule is that the speed IV should be 31, unless you're running the Trick Room Conkeldurr, which we can get to a little later in the program. And now it is time for us to dive straight into the sets, and we're going to ask for Roded's commentary on each of the sets. So, Roded, are you ready?
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into the most common sets first. So we have the classic Gut set. So this is a set that is the most common, pretty straightforward. So the IVs are as follows. HP is 31, attack is 31, defense is 25 plus, special attack doesn't really matter, special defense is 25 plus, and speed is 31. EVs are 252 HP, 252 attack, and 6 speed. The nature is adamant, so plus attack minus special attack, and its moves are either Drain Punch or Close Combat, Mach Punch, which is an egg move from either Hitmonchan, Monferno, or Infernape. And then, as for the third and fourth move, you can pick from a wide array of moves. You can either pick Facade for Facade, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Rock Blast, Payback, or Knockoff. And then the item that Conk holds for the classic Guts set is the Flame Orb, and the ability is the Guts ability. Now, we're going to go and talk about these moves and the significance of each of these moves, so let's go and dive into each move right now. This is the point where you want to go to in the video if you want to hear about the description of the moves. But I don't want to give the description of the moves as I'm reading off the sets here, so I'm going to give the descriptions right now. Alright, so Drain Punch or Close Combat. I have a question for you. Are you more of a safe player, or are you more just a straight offense, knocking out everybody sort of player? If you're the more sort of knocking out everybody, just not really caring about safety at all, Close Combat is the move you would like to pick for Conk. Or, if you do care about safety, you can run Drain Punch so you can sap some health and you can be able to regain your HP again, and you can feel nice and safe with that. And then as for Mach Punch is a good priority move. If something is in red health, then you can be able to hit it with that Mach Punch, so you can ensure a knockout. And that is why I have it as a second move, so that way you can be able to have a priority move. And then as for all the other moves that could match for a third or fourth move, let's go ahead and give descriptions for them as well. So, Facade. Now, Facade is good if your conch is burned, and it's going to do a lot of damage. Roided, have you had experience with a Facade conch, or have you used a Facade conch at one point?
Sure. So the main reason to use Facade on Guts Conkeldurr is that Facade is your only option to take out max defense for Uniclus. Because Facade is not resisted, as your main fighting type moves are, by psychic types, and it gets its damage, multiplies its 140 base power normal move. Wait, shoot, it is 140, right? Not 145? Facade's 70? Regardless, it's high base power normal type move. I want to say 140, yell at me if I'm wrong. And so it's your only option to 2-hit KO Reuniclus. So if you know your opponent is running Reuniclus, you can Facade on the switch because you're always faster than Reuniclus. This takes away Conkeldurr's most consistent check, as Uniclus checks every version of Conkeldurr that isn't Guts with Facade.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And then we have the fourth move, which we can either run Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Earthquake, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Payback, or Knockoff. Now, all those moves have one thing in common. They can at least dent Conch's other check, which is Cofagrigus as well.
So, weirdly enough, Stone Edge is actually your best option against Cofagrigus, because as soon as you touch Cofagrigus, not only does your Guts turn off, meaning you don't get your 50% attack boost, but then your burn kicks in. So the burn attack reduction is negated while Guts is active, but as soon as you touch Cofagrigus, you lose your ability, meaning that not only do you lose your attack boost, but then your attack is cut in half again. So because Stone Edge is 100 base power and doesn't make contact, it actually ends up... So your first payback will actually hit about as hard as a Stone Edge, but your second payback will deal almost no damage, whereas the second Stone Edge will deal decent damage. Just don't miss. Like that's all there is to it. Just don't miss your Stone Edge. I mean, I don't know, be better at the game.
Alright, just in case you want to say, hey, I'm okay with not hitting Cofagrigus not as hard, but I still want to hit it, I would say that another move that Conch has in his arsenal now is Rock Blast, although Rock Blast also has a chance to miss as well, but not as bad as Stone Edge. So, yeah. And plus, the added benefit to Rock Blast is that you can be able to blast out substitutes. So let's just say you're dealing with those pesky sub-disable Gengar variants that my producer Jerry was laughing at when I was fighting that exact variant with my Conch, and my opponent had the sub-disable Gengar. Well then, you can be able to address it with Rock Blast, and you can knock out Gengar behind a substitute. And you can also knock out Volcaronas as well behind a substitute. So Rock Blast is also good as well in Conch, right?
Yeah, so with Conkeldurr generally, right, so in order of importance on Conkeldurr, Mach Punch, every Conkeldurr needs to run Mach Punch. Then you need a fighting move, you need either Drain Punch or Close Combat. Usually Drain Punch, if you're running with like Wish support from Blissey, you can run Close Combat, or if your team is just really offensive, you can run CC. Then you have your last two moves. If you're running Classic Guts Conkeldurr, you should run Facade. I think that this move isn't optional, as otherwise you can never get through a Boating Reuniclus. And then after Facade, your last move is kind of optional. I think that a Rock type move is your best option. You can run Rock Slide if you're a coward, so you shouldn't. Stone Edge is your best general bet, whereas Rock Blast has slightly better accuracy and allows you to not lose to the substitute Pokemon, like Mayor Restaurants was just mentioning. So Rock Blast has seen a lot of popularity lately, as substitute Volcarona has, shown that it's a great way to counter standard Blissey sets, as standard Blissey drops Seismic Toss because it gained Teleport. So this stops Sub-Bulk from just sweeping your team. And also beats Sub-Gengar, but Sub-Bulk is usually like more threatening, as if you have to rely on hitting a Stone Edge into a Volcarona that substitutes, you have to hit 5 with Leftovers Recovery. You have 5 chances to miss your 80% accurate Stone Edge. So most likely your miss, meaning that they will get their Quiver Dance off behind a sub and then you lose.
I see.
Which is why it's imperative to have Rock Blast against that Volk. or if you're running Seismic Toss. So if you're running Seismic Toss Blissey, this doesn't matter. Just go ahead and run Stone Edge.
All right. Now, as for Earthquake, I mean, you know, and we do have other moves in our options here because I know some people like to run the other moves as well. So if you want to handle things like Gyarados or something like that, you could run T-Punch, and it also has the added benefit of handling Jellicent. What's your take with Thunder Punch on Conkeldurr?
So I think it is decent for Jellicent. The fact that Jellicent is faster than you and threatens to deal like kind of insane damage with Hex. And also the comment, because a lot of Jellicent run physical defense, so even though you have Thunder Punch, it's not going to one-hit KO Jellicent or even realistically come that close. And against Gyarados, Stone Edge works just fine as well. And Gyarados does so little damage to Conk that Gyarados isn't going to stay in that matchup, even if you don't have Thunder Punch. So I generally find Thunder Punch to be pretty suboptimal on Conkeldurr. I mean, maybe for team is just like horribly weak against Gyarados. So you can run Thunder Punch, but I think losing out on Stone Edge is pretty huge. Because Rock and Fighting just cover basically every type in the game.
Right.
So you really want to have them both.
Now, how about people writing in that want Ice Punch on their comp? I mean, Ice Punch is good against things like, you know, Breloom and that sort of thing, but I would argue that you can handle Breloom with all your other moves, right?
Yeah. Well, like the main reason for Ice Punch is Garchomp, right? Like the most used Pokemon right now, like 40% of teams have Garchomp. And while it's true, most Garchomp A, even if you're not running Ice Punch, they're afraid of it, so generally you don't stay in on Conkeldurr. But B, Conkeldurr kind of just beats Garchomp normally without it. Just Drain Punch into Mach Punch usually beats Garchomp. And Garchomp is relied on for defensive utility, so they can't really let Garchomp take a Drain Punch. After that point, it's more or less useless. Right. So, like, Ice Punch is good against Garchomp, but I don't think you need it, and I think you'll miss the other moves more. But I think Ice Punch is more viable than Thunder Punch.
Now, how about people writing into that they're saying, but how about Gliscor? Gliscor is a pretty good defense stat. I'm kind of scared of Gliscor, and that's why I have Ice Punch. What's your take on Gliscor in OU and Ice Punch for Conk on that?
Gliscor is actually an amazing Pokemon. It's one of those things where almost you don't see Ice Punch Conkeldurr that often, but the fact that it could exist means that, I don't think you should run Ice Punch to counter Gliscor. That being said, I don't think you should run Gliscor because your opponent could have Ice Punch. One of those, I don't think either set is optimal, but I think the existence of the set makes Gliscor worse. Because, I've been making teams with Gliscor, and it's like, wow, this is an amazing Conkeldurr answer. Unless they have Ice Punch. So, it is really good at countering Gliscor, but I think Gliscor isn't popular or good enough that you need to worry about it in team building that much.
All right, let's go and talk about the next move here, Earthquake. I know that there might be some viewers that still say, Roided, I really don't want to run Stone Edge. I just don't. The miss opportunity is too much. Earthquake, man. Earthquake has a high base power. What's your take on Earthquake?
I mean, Stone Edge misses Gyarados 20% of the time. Earthquake misses Gyarados 100% of the time. About the only Pokemon Earthquake is good for is Metagross, but, I mean, come on. Come on now. Don't do that.
Oh, whew. All right. Excellent. By the way, thank you so much for responding to all the concerns.
Sure. That's what I'm here for.
Certainly. So then how about Payback and some of the other ghost types that Payback can handle? What's your take on Payback? You said Stone Edge was better, right?
Yeah, I generally think Payback's pretty bad. Honestly, that's about all there is to it. In almost every situation, it's better to have Stone Edges, because think about it, a super effective Payback is 120 base power, whereas a neutrally effective Stone Edge is 100 base power. So even against Ghost, Stone Edge is usually better. Against Copperrigus, Stone Edge is always better than Payback. Against Gengar, right, you'd rather have Rock Blast over Payback or Stone Edge, because Gengar's play is to sub 3 times as you wear yourself down with your own burn damage, and then just to hit you and finish you off with Shadow Ball, or just switch out after it takes the free damage. So in that case, Payback doesn't do anything better. I really don't think Payback is worth using at all.
I see. Now, speaking about another dark type move, how about Knockoff? I know that there might be some people that are looking for teammates and they see, hey, Conk has the move Knockoff. What's your take on Knockoff Guts Conkeldurr?
Don't run it. Guts Conkeldurr is about damage, and before the Knockoff damage buff, because we don't have that in this game yet, all it is a utility move, more or less. And if you want knockoff, it's a good move to have. Run it on Tentacruel, or I think maybe Mandibuzz can fit it. Tentacruel is your best knockoff Pokemon. It's a Pokemon with like 3 good moves, and it's also just like good in general. So yeah, run knockoff Tentacruel. Don't run knockoff on your offensive mon, because like losing a coverage slot is awful. You can't drop Mach Punch, right? Or you're just not running a real Pokemon. You can't drop Facade, otherwise you lose to Roidedewok and a bunch of other standard stuff. You can't drop Drain Punch or Close Combat. And so if your last option isn't a coverage option and is knockoff, then like you just can't touch ghosts, because knockoff doesn't really touch ghosts, and you can't touch most things.
Oh, all right. Yeah, and we discussed all the moves for Conkeldurr, for at least the classic Guts variant. And then for the rest of the variants, I'm going to discuss the other moves here, but other than that, we discussed most of these moves, so we're not going to discuss a lot of these moves again. But if there is a new move, I do plan to discuss it here. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into the Bulk Up Conkeldurr and that variant, and what it has in store for us. So the IVs here are HP 31, Attack 31, Defense plus 25, Special Attack doesn't really matter, Special Defense plus 25, and Speed is 31. Its nature is Adamant, so plus Attack, minus Special Attack. Its EVs are 252 HP, 222 Special Defense, and 36 Speed. Its moves are Bulk Up, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, which is an egg move from Hitmonchan, Monferno, or Infernape. And then you can either pick from Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Rock Blast, Payback, Knockoff, or Facade. Roided would like to pick Rock Blast here in the 4th slot, and I'm going to let Roided explain why.
Sure. So because you waste a couple turns setting up with this Conk, as opposed to standard Conkeldurr, which just comes in and clicks buttons every turn, wasting like a turn or two setting up Bulk Up just to have your opponent switch into Pokemon that deals with this Conkeldurr pretty easily, like substitute Gengar, feels awful. So running Rock Blast, especially with the ability to boost up your attack, you can just beat a Gyarados 1v1. Right? So you don't need to worry about Stone Edge's increased damage against Gyarados, because increasing your attack and defense, and Gyarados only raising its attack every turn if you just sit there and boost in front of each other. So that's not a real risk. So Rock Blast, basically like with this Bulk Up set, Rock Blast beats everything Stone Edge does, and Rock Blast beats some unique things. Because you don't have the initial burn damage, you don't have the initial attack investment, your raw Stone Edges don't deal as much damage, so it's a lot closer to Rock Blast in power.
Oh, alright. That's great. And then the item that Conk holds is Leftovers, and that's very useful because Leftovers helps recover your HP every time you get damage. You can passive recovery. You don't need the burn so much, although the ability is Guts, just in case Coffic Regis or something else would like to do Will-O-Wisp. Hey, it's an extra boost, so why not? So there you go. So you don't want to shut down an opportunity to have another attack boost with Guts. So yeah, so I added that as the ability on the Bulk Up Conk. So what do you think on that?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. So with Bulk Up Conkeldurr, you shouldn't be running Sheer Force, because if you get burned, having Conkeldurr be useless under a burn is just ridiculous. And Guts is such a huge boost if you do get afflicted by any status condition, which is pretty common, right? Like T-Spikes exist, everything wants to throw out Toxic, Thunder Wave even is a move. You're slow enough, the downside, Thunder Wave doesn't matter much. And then Leftovers is crazy, because since you're trying to increase your defenses, and you're already running a much bulkier Conkeldurr, inherently, going from losing 6% of your health every turn, or 6.25%, to burn, to instead gaining 6.25% from Leftovers, is massive, especially against opposing Pokemon that spam Substitute. So, as I mentioned earlier, normally the way Gengar, like I would play a sub Gengar into a Conkeldurr, is I would just spam sub until the Conkeldurr slowly got burns down into Shadow Ball range. Well, with this Conkeldurr, you don't get burned down to Substitute range, or you don't get burned into Shadow Ball range. In fact, every turn you get further from Shadow Ball range because Heal as opposed to taking passive damage.
Oh, nice. Leftovers cancels out the burn, so it's just an added benefit.
I mean, non-stab Rock Blast, even at like +3 with the burn, the problem is like Copper Regis kills you in 2 hexes. So I think it's if you're somehow at like +4 and then they switch in Copper Regis, like yeah, you might be able to beat it, but realistically they'd switch it in before you're able to get any boosts, and then you're in a not great situation. Like is just a hard answer like Conkeldurrs. Like when we're talking about Copper Regis beats the set, Copper Regis beats every Conkeldurr set. It's the only Pokemon in the game that does that. So, you know, and it's not very good outside of Conk. So only having one weakness is fine.
And that's why I said in the Gengar video that if you pair Gengar and Conkeldurr together in a team, then I think a good power duo, because you have the physical attacker, you have the special attacker, and Gengar can handle Cofagrigus, just implying that you know when to switch in Gengar, but prediction is a completely different topic here, but I just want to say that. But what do you think? Do you think Gengar is a good complement to Conkeldurr teammate-wise?
For sure. For sure. They're also just both like generically incredibly useful Pokemon. You could just like make a team, like, so the best balanced team right now, this is like slightly off topic, but also like pretty relevant, right? Because if you're wanting to run Conk, you're wanting to run something meta, there's like Blissey, Garchomp, Rotom, Scizor, right? Those 4 Pokemon cover everything. And so adding in like Gengar, Conkeldurr is actually pretty much just one of the best teams you could make. It's a team that doesn't hard lose to anything. You always have an option to play the game. So yeah, I think that'd be a great team.
Awesome.
Great pairing.
I know what some people are going to say in the slides here, but Roided and Roy, I noticed in the moves you don't have Fire Punch in the list. There's a reason why we don't have Fire Punch in the list. That's because even though, yeah, Scizor is 4 times weak, you can still hit it neutrally with your fighting type attack, and Scizor still was threatened by that, right?
You beat the 2 main fire weak targets in Scizor and Ferrothorn anyways.
Yeah, so there's no real reason to run Fire Punch. I know some people are going to ask about that, why we don't have it in the list.
Bulk up Conkeldurr. The reason that I have 36 speed here, it seems pretty random, but the reason is that not most, but a decent amount of people for Conkeldurr, they'll run at least 20 speed IVs, 20 speed EVs, because 20 speed EVs allows you to outspeed opposing Hippowdon. Now, at that point, it's minimal investment. You don't really lose anything by going 20 speed EVs, and outspeeding Hippowdon can be kind of good. Then, with bulk up, it's really important to go before the opposing Conkeldurr, because if you go before them, not only does your bulk up happen, so you gain defense before they hit you, but then you get to hit them back before they hit you, and you hit them back with your plus attack. And at that point, you win the matchup. So, the name of the game in Bulk Up Conk is outspeeding opposing Conkeldurr with the littlest amount of speed investment possible. So you want to outspeed them by as little as possible. And there is no magic number on this. If you're running 0 speed, I think that is wrong. I think running under 20 speed is wrong with Bulk Up Conk. And so the reason I have 36 here is that some people run 28 speed to try to outspeed Conkeldurr that are at 20 to outspeed Hippo. And 36 is to outspeed those people. So anything over 28 is what I would consider, well, even 28 is what I would consider speed creep. And that's where your speed is only at that level to outspeed what you think your opponent might be putting their speed to. Because speed naturally does nothing for Conkeldurr over 20. 20 speed does have a relevant matchup in Hippo, but 28 speed doesn't do anything except beat Conk at 20. And same thing with 36, that only beats Conk at 28, so on and so forth.
Well, so essentially it's like a speed war against
Yes.
Conk.
Yeah, it's usually known as like speed creep. It's on a Pokemon where speed doesn't usually benefit it. Increasing its speed solely for its use against itself, it's a weird thing. So I think there is a reason to run some speed. I think like 36 is a good number because you outspeed anyone who isn't dedicating into it. And anyone who runs more than 36, at that point, like, maybe they're running 252. So I don't think there's much reason to run like 100 speed. Because sure, you'd outspeed the people with no speed, but you're still going to lose to fast Conk. And most of the time, you would have done the same thing with 36, and now you're just slightly squishier or hit slightly less hard. So that's why I have that speed there. It is optional, but I think it's a good option for me.
Oh, alright. Yeah, that's great. And it is time for us to go from the most common variants to the rare variants. And these are the variants that you should be aware of, but these variants you don't see too often. Alright, so speaking about the Conkeldurr with Sheer Force, let's go and talk a bit about Sheer Conk. Although not recommended for novice players. I'm going to say that right now. I am going to say this. It is very risky. Roided, am I correct on this?
Well, risk usually implies that there's some added benefit. Sheer Conk is kind of just worse with no benefit. So you say risk, I say bad. The main appeal, right, is that your coverage moves are much stronger. So Sheer Force plus Life Orb means that your Ice Punch and Thunder Punch hit a lot harder. But anything your Ice Punch or Thunder Punching was already dying, Like Garchomp dies to just normal Ice Punch, and Gyarados dies to normal Thunder Punch. Same with Pelipper. So why make your two main moves, being Mach Punch and Drain Punch, hit so much weaker for basically no benefit? Because that's the main thing. Sheer Force only powers up a move if it removes a secondary ability. And because there is no secondary effect of Mach or Drain Punch, the healing isn't a secondary effect. It's something different. You still heal, you just don't deal the bonus damage. So yeah.
Oh, all right. No problem. And I just want to mention this for completion's sake as well. Although, like you said, that you would not recommend people running that, and I agree with my conks are guts, but I just want to cover this for completion. So because you do see it, but it's just not really that good. Yeah. So the IVs are HP 31, attack 31, defense plus 25, special attack doesn't really matter, special defense is plus 25, and speed is 31. Its EVs are 48 HP, 202 attack, and 208 speed. Its nature is adamant, which is plus attack, minus special attack. Its moves are Mach Punch, which is an egg move from Hitmonchan, Monferno or Infernape, Drain Punch or Close Combat, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. And its item is Life Orb, and its ability is Sheer Force. Again, not recommended, but I'm just listing it for completion's sake. But now, I'm going to chat about the fourth variant of Conk, which is rare, but I would say is a lot more useful than Sheer Conk, and that would be Trick Room Conk. That implies that you have something like Porygon 2 or Bronzong in OU. Assume that it is Trick Room, especially if you see something like Ursaring keeping it company. If you see Ursaring in OU, that's definitely a Trick Room variant.
Well, it's a Trick Room team. I think even on a Trick Room team, there's a pretty good argument for using standard offensive Conk. But yes, if you see Bronzong or Ursaring, it's a Trick Room team for sure.
Yeah. Now, Roided has a bit more of an advanced version of Trick Room Conk, but the graphic here is going to show a more simplistic set of it. But that's due to the difficulty of using Roided's version of Conk. But if you use it correctly, you may be able to win several games, but I'm going to let Roided explain that a bit later in the video. So let's go and chat about the Conk that's currently on the graphic right now. So the IVs are HP 31, attack is 31, defense is plus 25, special attack doesn't matter, special defense is plus 25, and the speed is 0. Its EVs are 252 HP, 252 attack, and 6 defense. And its nature is Brave, plus attack, minus speed. That way you can have the Trick Room advantage. And its moves are Drain Punch or Close Combat, Mach Punch, which is an egg move from either Hitmonchan, Monferno, or Infernape. And then you can either pick from Decade, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Rock Blast, Payback, or Knockoff. And then the item is Flame Orb, and the ability is Guts. So that is the Conkeldurr that's currently there on the screen. But Roided, you have a bit more of an advanced variant of this Conk, so would you like to explain what the difference is between this Conk and your version of Trick Room Conk?
My Trick Room Conk is less of an advanced version, more of on Trick Room teams, I prefer to use standard Conk, standard offensive Conk with close combat over Drain Punch. And the reason for that is, on Trick Room teams, if your Trick Room is active, you're usually winning the game. So as opposed to doubling down on a Conkeldurr that is realistically, if we're talking, not really any better during Trick Room, I'd rather have a Conkeldurr that is better when Trick Room isn't up, because one of the main problems that Trick Room teams face are opposing Reuniclus and Conkeldurr, as a lot of the good Trick Room setters like Porygon 2 are pretty weak against opposing Conkeldurr. So having a Conkeldurr that beats opposing Conk outside of Trick Room, I find is generally better than running a Conkeldurr that's a little bit slower under Trick Room. Because the only thing this underspeeds is, let me check, but I think you maybe underspeed standard, like if someone is running a 31 speed IV Reuniclus with the bulk up, or with the acid armor Reuniclus, you could lower than it. You still don't beat it, but you can at least move first, which is again another part of my problems with it. Like you still don't beat bulk up Reuniclus.
But this variant of Conk is a bit more of a safer play, right? The Brave Nature 0 speed, the one that's currently on the graphic.
I don't really even consider it a safer play, because at the point that speed, you're so slow that you're not realistically outspeeding anything. Like,
Right.
going from just standard Conkeldurr speed of base 45 to going to like Brave 0 IVs, you don't really, there's nothing really in that gap except for Reuniclus, like 31 IV modest Reuniclus.
Well, and also I've seen some Rampardust variants that, you know, that could be a bit of a threat. Like Rampardust.
Sorry, nothing good.
Well,
yes, there are Pokemon in that range, but
yeah.
you have Mach Punch for Rampardust anyways, though. It just falls over to that.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, there are Pokemon in that range. I should have spoken better. There are virtually no relevant Pokemon in that range except for Reuniclus, and I would rather have my Conkeldurr be faster than Reuniclus outside of Trick Room than be faster than it in Trick Room.
Now, how about Ursaring?
Because if you're running Conkeldurr, you don't have to worry about Ursaring because, again, it's a squishy Pokemon weak to Mach Punch. So that's about all there is to it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, because...
Yeah, you're relying on priority anyways.
Alright. Your Conk may take a bit more prediction, right? To get it right, in a sense. Like, you're not going to be faster than all the trick Pokemon, so if you need that Conk, you know, keep in mind it's going to be slower in a Trick Room setting, right? The Conk that you have.
Well, like, that's what I was saying before. Like, the only Pokemon that this speed matters against is, like, Hippowdon and Reuniclus, right? You're all, even with just normal Conkeldurr, you're already slower than basically everything. And with this speed investment, you're still never going to be slower than a Trick Room Reuniclus. So if your opponent is going with 0 IV Reuniclus, you're not going to be slower than them. At that point, you've just given up speed for nothing. So it's one of those, like, I feel like it's high risk, not high risk, it's low risk for negligible reward is how I'd describe this Conkeldurr. You don't lose much by going minus speed, but I think you gain even less. That being said, it has its uses. Like, if your opponent is running a Trick Room team with, like, Marowak, maybe it could be good to be slow against... It does make you faster than Ursaring under Trick Room, for what it's worth. If for some reason you don't want to click Mach Punch and just kill them, this would allow you to outspeed Ursaring. But for those of you that are wondering, yes, Mach Punch deals 91% to 108% to Ursaring. So with Stealth Rocks up, it's a guaranteed KO. And in the Trick Room mirror, you always get Stealth Runs up, because Bronzong's your lead, and you go Bronzong Rocks. It doesn't win, but that guarantees you get Rocks up, because Trick Room teams don't lead with taunt Pokemon. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, that's how it plays out. But yeah, I think like this is a set that you will see. I just think that there's not a huge reason to see it.
Alright, I guess we all have our different viewpoints here.
Yeah, exactly. This is just my opinion, right? I guess plenty of people disagree. Like, Brave is the second most used nature on Conkeldurr.
I think that's all we have about Conk, so let's go ahead and close out the computer here. Roided, so how do you feel about your friend / arch nemesis, Conkeldurr?
It's a fun Pokemon. I hate how it invalidates some of the Pokemon that I enjoy to use, but yeah, it's pretty cool in its own right.
Oh, alright. That's good, yeah. I'm glad you think that I'm cool. I mean, I'm glad that you think Conkeldurr is cool. That's great. So, I remember you're trading some insults about Conk at the beginning of this video. Like,
Yeah.
You were yelling in the building before I taped. I was like, man, what's going on? Who's this guy? Like, Conkeldurr, no! Like, I heard you yelling in the building before I was recording.
Sounds like something I would do. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Well, and you called me, Conkeldurr, a scary construction worker.
Yes, that or glorified oaf. One of those. Who could
Oaf.
remember?
Oh,
Tensions were high. Yeah, oaf might have come out of my mouth. Maybe,
Well, let's see.
maybe degenerate. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting the temptation. I need to click on my wrist here. Alright. That's it. I gotta handle this road tar. Excuse me. Oh, I was transformed. Alright, road tar. It's time for you to die, man. It's time for you to die.
This
For
is
all
the
those-
Tyranitar and a Conkeldurr matchup, so that does seem like that's what's about to happen.
Alright. Oh boy. I've been wanting to do this.
And I have been dreading this. Ever since Gen 5 came out, poor Tyranitar came
Well,
off the Uber's list just to fall into Conkeldurr's arms.
Any last words?
No, you.
Okay, man. Time for you to die! Wait, what?
Bum 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 bum.
What?
Bum.
This Tyranitar is mutated!
Pull Tyranitar's only option against Conkeldurr.
Ah!
Or, Hydro Pump.
Oh! Oh! Ah! Alright. I'm transforming. Oh no! Ah! Starting to feel a little dizzy, Roided. Did you feel anything?
No, nothing out of the usual happened. Just Tyranitar beating Conkeldurr, you know, as it often does.
I see, alright. Oh man, alright. You know, man, I may need a T-Tar just to cheer me up, man.
You know what? I've got one of those for you.
What, you do?
Let's do it. Yeah. Got a set that's not worth getting into today, but maybe another day.
Let's see.
Shuka, Tyranitar, Lead.
That is awesome, man. Oh, thank you for all the moves.
Oh, does it have the right moves on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I made sure to breed it with Pursuit, so at least you have that.
Oh,
I
good.
didn't breed it with Dragon Dance because that's just too sad to know your Tyranitar has Dragon Dance but should never use it.
Also, Dragon Dance is a now TN.
Oh, I keep forgetting that. Oh yeah, that's why I didn't do it. Never mind.
All right. Man, wow.
I'll never get used to that.
Wow. I just want to say thank you so much for the OT Roidedewok Tyranitar. You made my day.
And thanks for the Gastrodon. I've put it to good use.
Glad you did. Oh man, I'm still feeling dizzy from that transformation. Alright, and before I sign off here, I would like to mention BlueNose's Egg Move website that he updated for the English player base here on PokeMMO. And I would like to thank him for making a website for Pokemon breeders. So let's go and type in Conkeldurr. There you go, and there should be a new pop-up there. And go ahead and click on Mach Punch there, and then if you see Egg Move Chain to the right, you should see where it says Search. Click on the Search function, and there you go. And then you get all the results. So you see Hitmonchan, Monferno, and Infernape. I can link the website down in the description below. I changed the link address in the Gengar Competitive Analysis series, so that way you can be sent over to this website. BlueNose wanted to make it easier for people, and I appreciate him for doing that. Alright, and Roided, if you want, at the end of this broadcast, I can link this website to you if you want.
Sure, I'm curious to take a look.
Alright, awesome. And with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Roy Rogers News Channel, and thank you so much, Roidedewok, for partaking in the competitive analysis series.
Oh, no problem. It's been fun.
Certainly. And it's really nice to have another opinion. I know that there are several people with different opinions competitively.
Oh, I agree. If I don't have someone to talk to, my sets get really weird. I will try to end up convincing someone that a special conk is actually good. Trust me.
You knocked me out with counter. Oh, I felt that. Oh, man.
Exactly. Special conk doesn't lose the counter.
Alright, anyways, thank you so much for watching. This is the Roy Rogers News Channel. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel, like the content that you see here. And this is the Roy Rogers News Channel signing off. Fast, accurate, unbiased. Roy Rogers News.
Woo! We did it, team.